Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm from the Black Business School, and you guys know I've been a finance professor for a very long time, so I'm very interested in Black wealth. Black wealth is extremely important, and so to build Black wealth, we've got to understand how wealth works in America and beyond. So, what I'm going to do is give you a list of the top 10 universities that produce the most billionaires. We're going to do that on the Black Financial Channel right now. All right. So welcome. Hello, everybody. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button on your way in. Also, make sure you text the word Boyce to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996 to get text notifications from us. We'll notify you when we go live on Dr. Boyce TV or the Black Financial Channel, things like that. So here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go through a list of the top 10 universities that produce the most billionaires. One of the things I want to, first of all, start off by saying is that doing good in school does not have a lot to do with whether or not you become wealthy or not. It's not so much whether you have the education or not. It's what you do with the education you have and whether you get the right education. School systems, standardized education is designed to teach you to do one thing, and that is to make a living. It's designed to teach you how to get by, how to pay bills, right? How to contribute to the economic system by being a consumer, paying your mortgage or your rent every month, basically sort of having enough money to go on vacation a couple weeks a year, right? To contribute to the wealth of the extraordinary extreme capitalists that exist in our society. Now, if you want to be a millionaire or a billionaire, you got to think outside the box. You have to ride the horse from the top. You have to be the jockey. You can't be the horse. And you have to understand how to play the game in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. That means you got to be able to have what I call OPP. OPP is what we teach our students in the Black Business School, which is opportunity, patience, and perspective. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So somebody says, why do you show yourself in a cartoon instead of a live picture? Great question. I do that because I can and because I don't feel like going on camera. I'm just messing with you, brother. Because I'd like to just talk to you guys real quick. And sometimes I'm not camera ready or in a place where I can sit down and sit still. So that's what it is. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. Please put your hashtag B1 in the chat. If you haven't put your hashtag B1 in the chat, please do that. Sean asks, why is the oldest historical Black university named after a white guy? Yeah, well, if you look in the history of a lot of HBCUs, you'll find a whole lot of whiteness in HBCUs. I can't remember who Spelman's named after, but I remember some white people were heavily involved in the creation of Spelman. So, I guess for those of us in our community who happen to be white supremacists, who happen to think white people are better than you and more important than you, and they're like your parents, they give birth to your possibilities, they give you opportunities. Instead of you creating your own opportunities, they give you jobs, they give you voting rights, right? Well, if you believe in that kind of thing, then it makes perfect sense, right? You see the HBCUs as a gift from the gods that gives you lowly slaves a chance to have an education. Well, the Black Business School is not in that tradition. The Black Business School was created by Black people for Black people, and we're designed to solve problems on behalf of Black people, and that's what we do. That's what we're focused on, and we don't apologize for that. So if you are interested, you can talk to one of our wealth experts right now, one of our counselors that can help you actually figure out what your future is going to look like financially. It won't cost you a penny. Feel free to go check it out. Go to theblackbusinessschool.com. My PhD is very real, and we're very good at what we do, and we are the world's leading experts at solving the Black wealth equation. So I'll put the URL right here in the chat, and let me see. Here we go. It's the Black Business School. .com. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. Please hit the thumbs up button. Okay, and it's not a diss on HBCUs. I'm not dissing HBCUs, but let's just keep it 100. When I interviewed at Howard University to see about me being on the faculty, I kid you not, I was interviewed by a Chinese man. And I'm not making fun of Howard. I'm not dissing Howard. I'm not attacking Howard. But Howard, there's a problem. There's an issue when I'm an African American. I was the only African American in the country to get a PhD in finance during the year 2002. I interviewed at Howard. I was interviewed by a Chinese man. Also, a Chinese man. Just the idea of a Chinese man deciding if an African American is qualified to teach other African Americans is very weird to me. I don't know about y'all, but it doesn't come off to me as normal. It doesn't seem like I don't think I'm going to go to China and go to a Chinese university and be an interview with an African American who's going to decide if a Chinese man should be teaching Chinese people? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Give me a yes or no if you at least can hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying you got to agree. I'm saying maybe we're living in a weird alternative universe where the things that don't make sense, somehow we're forced to make them make sense, like voting and asking for nothing in return. That doesn't make sense, but we're forced to believe it makes sense, right? Or a Chinese man deciding if an African American scholar should be teaching African American students. Would I ever be able to go to China and decide if Chinese men have the right to go teach other Chinese men? Would Chinese men allow me as an African American to go to China at the prestigious Chinese university and decide which Chinese people should be allowed to teach other Chinese people? It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. Get mad at me if you want to, but y'all know it wouldn't happen. So yeah, you've been taught to embrace a bunch of weird stuff. That's what slavery does. It makes us ass backward. Let's just keep it 100. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Let me go back here. Let me go back and read this to you. Okay, top 10 universities that produce the most billionaires. Number 10 is Berkeley. Berkeley has 19 billionaires. Their combined net worth is $82 billion. There's not much else to say about that. Berkeley's a great school. It is what it is. All 10 of these schools are elite universities. I'll explain the trend on that in a second. Yale has produced 21 billionaires. Their collective net worth is $99 billion. University of Chicago has produced 21 billionaires with a collective net worth of $48 billion, which is ironically less than half of Yale, even though they have the same number of billionaires. So Yale billionaires tend to have more billions. That are not all billionaires are created equal, right? Not all billionaires are equal. Jeff Bezos is not the same as the guy who just crossed the billionaire mark, right? Those are two different realities, right? Jeff Bezos can clear $1 billion in a week sometimes. So the reality is not all billionaires are created equal. My speculation is the reason that Yale has a higher net worth amongst its 21 billionaires is because a lot of the Yale graduates go to Wall Street. Wall Street's where the money's at. That's why I tell you guys to become stock market investors, because the best way for you to get rich is to do what rich people do and have your money where rich people have their money, so that when they get rich, you get rich as well. Everybody's winning. That's what they call positive correlation. Number four, is USC. USC has 22 billionaires with a collective net worth of 51 billion. Cornell has 23 billionaires with a collective net worth of 57 billion. MIT has 26 billionaires with a collective net worth of 158 billion. The reason that they have 158 billion among their 26 billionaires, I speculate, is because MIT is very good at producing technologists and engineers and scientists and systems builders and programmers and people that know how to take a system and scale it to the point where they might sell a $10 product, but they sell 10 million units of that $10 product every week. And next thing you know, they're clocking $100 million a week and they're billionaire. They hit billionaire status. A system will always work harder than an individual. Never forget that. Next on the list is Columbia. Columbia has 38 billionaires. Their net worth is higher than MIT. It's actually 218 billion. So Columbia has 38 billionaires with a total net worth of 218 billion. Why do I speculate that to be the case? Well, because Columbia is in a place called New York City. New York City is right next to Wall Street. Wall Street is where money gets printed by the pound. So you've got hedge fund managers on Wall Street that make $1 billion a year. Not $1 billion in a lifetime, not $1 billion over a 10-year period, $1 billion every single year, because Wall Street's where all the money has gravitated. Two places where the money has gravitated in the last 20 years, Wall Street, which is pretty much where it always is, and Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, a big chunk, I'd say about a third of the world's net worth has been produced on Silicon Valley over the last 4 or 5 years, or maybe the last decade. So that makes me regret the fact that I turned down Columbia for my PhD. I got accepted to the finance PhD program at Columbia, and I told them no because I wanted to go to Rochester. But actually, I wish I had gone to Columbia because I would have been closer to the money. That's a rule of money. If you want to make money, get close to where the money's at. That's a little secret. I'll just share that with you. All right, so I got to go. Me and Alicia are about to go running. Top two. Next one is Stanford. Stanford is number 2 on the list with 50 billionaires, combined net worth $338 billion. Why do the Stanford billionaires have $338 billion in collective net worth? Well, because Stanford is right in the heart of a place called Silicon Valley, which I just mentioned to you is a place where money really does grow on trees. It's where becoming a millionaire is not a big deal, where everybody and their mama has some sort of startup, And many of these startups are multi-billion dollar companies. For every billionaire you hear about on the news, there are thousands of little millionaires who have these little apps that you've never heard of that are just making money hand over fist. So what I have told our 17-year-old, and maybe if you have a child that's scientifically inclined or likes math or whatever, is I have just told him, I said, you're going to go to school to be an engineer? Great. Study engineering, but you better make sure you study business, because people that understand business know how to create models that scale similar to an Elon Musk, which will therefore allow you to make a lot of money. So you don't have to become a billionaire, but it's pretty nice to be a millionaire in your 20s because you and your friends created an app that is used by 10,000 people, and all those 10,000 people pay you $10 a month, and you're making a grand a month in revenue. There aren't any corporate jobs you can get out of college that pay you $100,000 a month. Next, last but not least, the number one school on the list that produced the most billionaires in America is Harvard University. Their collective, they've produced 131 billionaires. That is almost 3 times higher than the number two school on the list. Stanford was number two at 50. Harvard's number one at 131. So Harvard could have a party where they only invite their billionaire graduates, and that would be a really big party. Like, that would be a really big party. Like, Harvard has enough billionaires to fill up 10 basketball teams. Like, if they could have 10 full basketball teams with a billionaire on each team, make that 10, actually more than 10, that's 12 teams. They could have 12 basketball teams where every basketball team has nothing but billionaires on the basketball team. That's how many billionaires Harvard produces. What is my speculation there? Well, Harvard is kind of one of those catch-all places where you can kind of do anything, all right? Like, a Harvard degree is the closest thing, I think, to having an educational superpower in terms of being connected to a brand that is valued all throughout the globe, that opens doors all over the place, that can get you into Silicon Valley. It can get you into Wall Street. And also, more importantly, Harvard tends to draw students from billionaire and millionaire families. So if you're a billionaire and you're deciding where to send your child to school, well, it's very natural to say you want to send your child to Harvard. So one of the things that does create wealth is having wealth in the first place. So the fact that really wealthy people send their children to Harvard means that they're going to probably be as wealthy or wealthier than their parents. They're going to form unions and partnerships with other wealthy people. They're going to have access to tremendous amounts of capital, which is a really important part of wealth building. And here's the thing, Black people can do the same thing. Maybe you can't have the same billions that white people have, but here's a couple of power plays I want you to just consider before I go running. Alicia's waiting for me, so I got to go. Number one, if you send your child to a school like that, teach them the power of networking. If they go to those schools and they network and make friends with who come from wealthy families, well, they're going to get opportunities. My little brother went to Cornell, and he made a lot of friends that had a whole lot more money than my friends that grew up in the hood. He was able to get into spaces with people, with billionaires that we didn't know from growing up in Louisville, Kentucky. So being around those people and forming relationships can be a great way to open doors. But here's the other piece of that. If you are hanging out with other Black people, and let's say that they're not billionaires, let's say that they're just millionaires, which is pretty impressive too, well, then capital naturally gets formed that way also. Who your circle includes is a huge indicator of how much wealth you actually accumulate. So get yourself in a good circle. Get yourself around positive Black people. Get yourself around people that have a strong Black identity. Get yourself around people who are builders. Get yourself around people who are ready to put their money where their mouth is. Get yourself around people who know how to hustle, who actually work for what they want. And what you'll find is that wealth is naturally created when you're in those spaces. Okay, so that's my 2 cents for today. I'm going to take off, guys. We have financial workbooks and flashcards for children. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you want to go check them out, you can go to financialworkbooks.com. That's the URL right there, financialworkbooks.com. Also text the word Boyce to 31996, and you can get on the text list. Text Boyce to 31996. And also don't forget that that every week, Dr. Claude Anderson and I do Powernomics talks. So we have a Powernomics masterclass So if you're interested in Powernomics and want to learn from the master, Dr. Claude Anderson, one of the world's leading experts in Black wealth and Black economics, he and I meet our students every week at powernomicsmasterclass.com. So feel free to go sign up there. Another sad thing about Howard, and I think Howard needs to confront this. This is me really calling out Howard University. Dr. Claude Anderson has lived right there in DC next to Howard University for the last 40, 50 years. Never once has Howard ever had him on campus as a speaker. Never once have they ever invited his ideas on campus. So I'm calling out Howard University and all graduates of Howard who need to email the administration right now and ask this question. Why is it that the living godfather, the modern day Marcus Garvey, the leading economic influencer on the planet, not invited on your campus to speak? Why are you running away from Blackness? Why do you run away from Black independence and freedom? Why are you more willing to teach a Black person to go get a job than you are to teach a Black person how to go build an industry? Why not? You have mediocre white people on campus every single year, but you can't bring on a Black man who has literally changed the world with his ideas. And I'm going to repeat this. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. And I got to go, but I'm going to say this again. When Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club was introduced to Powernomics, he fell in love with it. He instantly reached out to me and asked me to get Dr. Anderson on the show. We got him on the show. Dr. Anderson's video was viewed 2 to 3 million times because millions of people were inspired by the ideas in Powernomics in terms of Black liberation, Black economic independence. When Kanye West was introduced to Powernomics, he became fascinated by Powernomics. He called me and said, I really want to talk to Dr. Anderson. It wasn't about talking about Boyce. So nobody want to talk about Boyce. Nobody care about what Boyce thinks. But he said, I really want to talk to Dr. Anderson. When Ice Cube was introduced to Powernomics, he became obsessed with Powernomics to the point where he took Powernomics principles to the Biden administration, which they firmly ignored, and then took them to the Trump administration, where they actually listened and said, you know, this is actually something we'd like to include in our plan. So I just want to ask you this. What is it that is making you afraid of authentic and liberated Blackness? Why are independent Black people considered to be your pariah, but white people are your bed buddies? White people who don't even love us, people who keep us enslaved, people who keep us behind, people who created the wealth gap that exists in this country, this horrible wealth gap that continues to grow, that is not being solved by millions of Black people being trained to go work for white people. So if you want to know if I'm calling them out, I am. And I'd love to hear their answer. They are invited to come on this podcast to defend themselves. But damn it, it's time for us to start telling the truth, because the truth will set you free and a lie will have you living in the same damn cage that you've been in since they started lying to us back during integration, when they told us that being next to white people was our key to salvation. You can never release yourself from slavery by simply committing to be a better slave. Let me say it again. You will never get out of slavery by simply committing to be a better slave. I'm not trying to build a better slave. I'm trying to build a better Black man and build a better Black woman. I hope that you agree. Give me a yes in the chat if you agree. And it's no disrespect to Howard, but damn it, I think that they should answer for some of this. So somebody brought up Howard. That was on my mind, and I just had to say what I had to say. You know how it is. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And also, we're building a Black movie industry. We have a new film out directed by Taki Grant called Happy, Hapi, which shows the roots of modern economics and how it goes back to ancient Africa. It's a very good film. We're doing a big screening on the 21st. You can get your tickets at blackmovienight.net, not .com. That's blackmovienight.net. So feel free to go to blackmovienight.net. It's right there on the screen. And also, you can text the word Boyce to 31996 to get notifications. I'm out, guys. Have a good day. And Howard, if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, but y'all need to answer those questions because inquiring minds want to know. I'm sorry that the truth hurt your feelings, but that's just what it is. We got to have real conversations if we want real results, because I'm tired of living in this fake reality where Black people keep falling behind. I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. See you soon. Peace.